Hey mom, are you just done with this pandemic already? Yeah, me too. I get it. Hi, I'm Dr. Lindsay Siegel Slot. I'm a doctor of acupuncture, a mom, and a parenting coach. I use the five element personality types wood, fire, earth, metal, and water to help moms get their kids to behave. And if you stay with me for about 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how to get back to not just back to normal, but back to a better normal than what you had before the pandemic. Okay, so before the pandemic, maybe sometimes your kids didn't listen to you. Sometimes you had to nag them a little. Sometimes you had to yell at them. Sometimes they would cry. Then you'd have to apologize and have that whole cycle. But it didn't happen all the time because they had school to go to and they had their friends and they had their activities to work out their energy. So whatever misbehavior was happening, it wasn't like constantly. But then came the pandemic and the lockdown. And then we were all forced to be with our kids all the time. So, whatever misbehavior, whatever problems you had with your kids, they just got magnified. Okay, so what I want to do is help you get back to not just back to normal, but a better normal than even before the pandemic, so that your kids just do what they need to do and they don't give you any trouble. Okay, so how did I get here? How did I become a parenting coach? Well, it started with my son. So when my son was in preschool, the teachers were complaining that he wasn't answering when they would ask him a question. He was kind of goofing off, not paying attention, not really doing what the other kids were doing. And they were just kind of concerned about him. So they told me I had to get him evaluated by various pediatric professionals. So I did. I had him evaluated by several different professionals, and they all told me that there was really nothing wrong with him and that whatever misbehavior or anything that was happening, it was my fault. So I didn't feel so great about that. So I started to study various books on misbehavior and try to figure out what was happening. So I stumbled upon the five element personality types for kids. So the five types again are wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. Well, it turned out my son was a water type and I'm a water type too. So it turns out water types can't be rushed. We tend to do things slowly. We tend to move and speak and think a little bit slowly, and we're very contemplative. So, what I was doing with him was unfortunately the opposite of what he really needed. So, I had been strict with him, trying to give him consequences, and that was just not getting me anywhere. What I really had to do was become more like an earth mom. Now, an earth mom is more nurturing, more loving, and pampering. And what I realized was when I acted more like an earth mom, loving and pampering and nurturing, even to the point of babying him, like way beyond what felt normal to me or what felt right to me. Surprisingly, ironically, he ended up stepping up. So my son ended up maturing more and kind of catching up to the other kids more, listening more, talking more. And so it was just so incredible to see that transformation. It was just life changing. And so once I learned this, I just had to share it with everybody. Okay, so before I get into all the five types, I want to show you another example. So in the height of the pandemic in the summer of 2020, I had clients who had 9-year-old twin girls. So these twin girls were wood and fire types. So one was a wood type, one was a fire type. Now, the wood and fire types are very, very confident. So these parents really had their hands full. And if you have really confident kids, you know what I'm talking about when they're very confident. Confidence is a great thing, don't get me wrong. But because the pandemic, because of the lockdown and just having their energy all pent up like that with nowhere to go, they actually became more than just confident. They became destructive, and it was very scary. So they would even take pictures off the wall, throw them, smash them. They would throw and break electronic devices, like even expensive things like iPads, even throwing furniture out the window. And then they would fight too, like scratch to the point of bleeding. They would fight with each other. It got really, really scary and dangerous. So it was just beyond stressful. It was beyond what any parent would have to deal with. And these parents were very, very loving, very supportive. They loved their kids so much. But what they didn't realize was that they were contributing to the problem. And what I mean by that is the kids were wood and fire types. Well, guess what? The parents were also wood and fire types. So I helped them act more like metal and water type parents. And in that way, I helped them to diffuse and calm down these situations and often prevent them from occurring. Okay, so now let me go into the 3 steps to parenting in a pandemic. So, step 1, figure out your kid's 5 element type. This is essential because this will help you understand their motivations and why they do what they do. Step 2, figure out your own 5 element type and the type of your partner. This way, you can figure out why you have these reactions to your kids and how you might be contributing to the problem. Step 3 is learn how to parent for your kids depending on their 5 element type. So, those are the 3 steps to parenting in a pandemic. Let me go over the 5 element types. So, first, I'm going to go over the most confident, the most aggressive, the most outgoing, which is the wood type. Wood types are pioneers, they are explorers, they are natural born leaders, they are fearless. However, they don't usually respect authority figures. So, parents, teachers, coaches, watch out. They will just do what they want to do. They think they know better than you. And once in a while, depending on how old they are or how smart they are, they might know better than an authority figure. But of course, as kids, we need to have them respect authority figures. So that can be a big problem. Also, they are really good at goal setting, but they get so good at it that they don't care what anybody thinks. And they will just go to what they want to do and push anybody out of the way if they think that person is a hindrance. So, like on a preschool playground, if they want to get to the other side of the bridge and there's another kid on the bridge, they'll just push that kid out of the way and get in trouble because it's a bad thing to do to push and to hurt someone, but they don't realize they're doing it. They don't realize they're being bad or they're being mean. They're just trying to reach their goal, get to the other side of the bridge. Okay, so that's the wood type. The fire type is the second most confident, second most outgoing of the 5 types. The difference is, while the wood types are very aggressive and they're very athletic, the wood types tend to be good at contact sports where they're taking the ball away from someone because they're super aggressive. The fire types are not as athletic. The fire types are more artistic and expressive. And they are very, very charming. So they do care what other people think and they really want to be loved. So again, the wood type is more physical, more athletic, more aggressive, and they don't care what people think. The fire type is more artistic, more expressive, and they really, really want to be loved. They really crave attention. They love being in the spotlight. And so they're usually very good at something to do with the arts. So whether it's visual arts like painting, drawing, or sculpting, it could be music, it could be drama, it could be writing and composing music, lyrics, writing in a journal, that sort of thing. They're very expressive and they're very good at the arts and they really want to be loved and they crave the spotlight. Next is the earth type. The earth type could be introverted or extroverted. So they're ambiverts and they could act differently depending on who they're with. They tend to be chameleons. They are the peacemakers and the caregivers of the world. They are extremely nurturing, as I mentioned before in my example with my son. Earth types are very nurturing. They're very, very caring. They love everybody. They want to be friends with everybody. And if they see a kid in the corner who's not playing with anybody, who looks lonely, they're going to go up to that kid and say, "Hey, come and play with us." They're going to be saying that in a very loving way. Now, the metal type. Now we get into more introverted kids. So the metal types are just like metal in nature is very rigid. The metal type kids tend to be set in their ways and they tend to look at things as either right or wrong, black or white, and they really care about justice. And also, they are natural problem solvers. So they're very good at complicated puzzles like jigsaw puzzles. They can put together a Lego set. They could put together a model airplane kit. You could leave them alone to do these individual projects and they're happy and they don't always need so much supervision to get these things done. Now we get into the fifth and final type, which is the water type. So as I mentioned before, I'm a water type, so is my son. The water type is the most introverted. We're very contemplative. We are sometimes slow talking and slow moving, and we really can't be rushed. So if you have a water type child, you need to allow extra time in the morning to get ready. And also, we tend to just want to stay home all day and contemplate our navels. Okay, I can poke fun at the water type because I'm a water type. So we don't always like to have a strict agenda. And that's why water types sometimes have a lot of problems with school and camp, where there's a fixed amount of time for each activity, because sometimes once we get used to an activity, finally, it's time to switch to something else. And that can be very, very stressful for the water type. Okay, so now I told you about the 3 steps to parenting in a pandemic. Number 1, figure out your kid's 5-element type. Number 2, figure out your 5-element type. And number 3 is learn how to parent based on your kids' types. And then I've shown you the details of the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. Okay, now what? Now what are you going to do? Well, lucky for you, I've compiled all my parent coaching experience into a self-paced online program. And right now it's on special. The normal price is $147, but you get it for $27. Only $27. And this is 8 modules plus a bonus module on parenting in a pandemic. So all of this is catered toward the 5-element personality types. So if you click on the button to learn more, you can learn all about it. You can learn about my 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can read about all the parents that have used the program because it's helped them so much. You can read all about that and read more detail on each of the modules if you go to the button where it says click here to learn more, or you can go to the page 5, as in the number 5, elementparenting.com/program. Again, it's the number 5, elementparenting.com/program, or click on the button to learn more. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you on the other side of the pandemic very soon.